Barbie, for hosting today. And thank you to the Halifax Chamber of Commerce for having me today. And also, I know that ACOA is one of the sponsors. So thanks to ACOA as well for facilitating this. These sessions take a lot of effort, time, and energy and expertise. So thank you all. And thanks to all our participants. I can't see everybody. I don't know how many are out there at this point, but I'm very, very excited. So thank you so much for being here on this beautiful, sunny Wednesday afternoon. So today our topic is mindfulness for mental health. And of course, although this is an area that I have practiced and researched, implemented, taught for many years, it is something that is gaining huge interest, momentum, and traction because it is something that is very, very crucial to our present day circumstances. All right, so let's get things started. Agenda today, what is mindfulness, the benefits of mindfulness. Now, for the benefits of mindfulness, I have focused only on this particular time and global pandemic, rather than going to all the details from a physiological, mental, as well as social benefits, or for the workplace. So I have done my best to narrow it down so that it is very effective for each of you. Now, there is lots of information, so feel free to pick one or two things rather than diving in and wanting to do it all. We're going to discuss a little bit about what's in it for you, but mostly I like to focus on practicing mindfulness during this time, because this is obviously top of mind for everyone, whether you are working from home, whether you are in business, whether you have a team that you are leading through. Either way, this is very top of mind and hopefully very effective for you. So let's see. What is mindfulness and what does mindfulness mean to you? If in the chat box you could answer just one or two words. What does mindfulness mean to you and what is it? Love hearing from you. Just quick, short, one or two words would be fantastic. All right, so I am hearing being present, taking time to yourself, being in the moment, learning how to be present, staying focused, tuned in, being aware, and intentional. So I'm loving this. Obviously, you are definitely on the leading edge, not only by the fact that you are here today, but by the fact that you have some previous encounter or have read about it, whether you have practiced it or not. So that's fantastic. I love reading your answers in the chat box, and there is more that keeps coming, which is really awesome. All right, let's move on because I have a couple of more things. Mindfulness is observing things, thoughts, emotions. I know whenever we talk emotions, people cringe. Emotions, business world, work world, we are professionals, but as they are, without any judgment, evaluation, or adding any of our expectations or projections on what is happening. As I was underlining those 4 key words, I was thinking, boy, do we ever really do this? We need to become be very intentional when we speak, when we share. And today in social media, people are sharing more than ever before. That first Monday, March 16th, Facebook was just beyond the roof because so many people were sharing, they were on there. So on this day, on today's circumstances, there are more people on social media. How do we actually transfer that intentionality and that purpose onto every aspect? So obviously we can't do it everywhere, but let's start baby steps. Somebody said, one of my clients last week, we were speaking, he said, baby steps, Floria. And it came out, there was judgment. He said, I'm making baby steps. And there was a sigh in his energy, in his language. And I said to him, I said, is this little steps? That's how we climb Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Everest. That's how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. And that's how we move forward. So letting go of that judgment. All right, one more, another one for you to actually, again, on your, in your chat, just a couple of words. What does it mean to observe your thoughts? So many of you, if you have heard me speak or do some training, you, or even just do networking, fantastic chamber networking events that we used to see each other very regularly, you may have heard me talk about what does it mean to observe our thoughts and how can we actually do that effectively. And I see that, whoops, there we go. I see chats are coming on and no. All right, there we go. So I see, observe as an outsider. Stop and think, acknowledge them. And again, be in the moment. And critical thinking about our own reactions. Fabulous. Now, critical thinking for someone else's thoughts is easy. But critical thinking for our own, while these thoughts are going at the speed of 360 miles an hour, if you're like me, you know what I'm talking about. They're going 360 miles an hour and you want to be critical, that takes practice. That's why mindfulness is not a destination, is a journey, is a practice, and we build habits every day or every moment of the day. As Barbie kindly was introducing me, and she said that Floria has devoted 3 decades, over 3 decades on this field. And people often sometimes say, so you are the expert. I say, hey, in mindfulness, there are very few that actually are experts. We are practicing more and more. So I encourage you to look at yourself from that lens, especially during this time. John Kabat and Zen also introduces mindfulness, means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, but the operative word is non-judgmentally. Non-judgmentally is key. And when we talk about not being judgmental, people say, oh no, I'm not judging. But from their energy, you can pick up the tone, because as you know, 93% of our communication is nonverbal. So judgment comes in loud and clear. We've all experienced it from someone else. And the thing is, whether we do that judgment, whether we are judgmental to ourselves or others are judging, it doesn't, our brain doesn't differentiate. It's, and our inner being, our nucleus, soul, heart, whatever you want to call it, it still hurts. So keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to take a quick drink of water to slow down so we can move forward in a much more intentional way. Mindfulness exercise. So as you are sitting in front of your laptops or whatever device, listen or look. What are you observing? Now again, please put your answers in the chat box whenever you are ready. All right, bird singing, beautiful lake, cat, breeze, calm, silence, calm wave, and the list goes on. Obviously, there are so many that are coming, which is fantastic. So I don't see them all, but you're getting what I'm talking about. We live in a world that it is moving so fast in our society, and we want to quiet down because it is difficult for me to actually be speaking as I am right now and be able to listen to you. I can barely look and read the chats, let alone hear you or listen to what you're saying. So in our world, we want to focus on calming that mind, the mental chatter that is going so fast. All right, let's move on. Great job on participating with these activities. Love hearing, love seeing your results. So thank you. All right. If you take 2 points from our webinar today, this is one of them. Talking less about what you cannot do or what you don't like, what isn't working. That's why I have the black balloons, because it is continuously talking about what you don't like and or what we can no longer do. That makes us feel powerless. That makes us feel that we are not moving forward, and that does not help us. That actually kills inspiration. Now, the second point, if you are only going to take these 2 points, the second point is talking more about what you like, what you appreciate, the things you can do, because then, as I have tried to highlight on the text of this image, is that you can actually see it bigger. Behavioral psychologists call this what they look at our behavior, human behavior, and they say at every moment, every minute, there is about 1,000 things that are happening around us. And the more we talk about something, the bigger it gets in our psyche. And now we can talk about what we don't like or what we can no longer do, or we can talk about what we do like or what we can do. So that there is real science behind this. It isn't to say we are ignoring, but we're simply shining the light, the spotlight on some more positive things, things that will help us, things that make us feel stronger. By feeling weak, we will feel more anxiety, we will feel much more depressed and stressed out. And whether it is mentally or physiologically, emotionally, and even our productivity and everything else will actually feel the benefit however we are feeling. Now, we won't go into too much, but if there was 2 lessons for you to walk away with, and you say, you went to the mindfulness webinar, but you came out with this one piece, I'm happy, because this piece of advice will take you very far. All right. Okay. All right. There we go. That was not, this was not meant to be in there. For some reason, it has got in there. There is a challenge, but that is not the right one. My apologies for that. Or thank you for your patience, as I like to say. Benefits of mindfulness. Again, I've narrowed it down for the COVID-19. So reducing anxiety, feeling much more energetic, sleeping better, because so many people are commenting that they're not able to sleep well during this time, or some are sleeping and then waking up because they're feeling anxious, or some are so anxious that they're not feeling as energetic as they normally are. So these are some of the benefits: managing stress, enjoying the now, enhanced memory. I hear people saying, they forget something, or an error, just like I did, and people say, oh, it's the COVID time. So we want to let go of some of these blaming somebody else or a circumstance, and focus, because then that doesn't, again, when we blame something else, it doesn't make us feel empowered or inspired. Okay? Building more trust. This is a time of uncertainty for so many. Therefore, building trust is even more crucial, vital. Improving relationships as well. I have ever so briefly mentioned managing heart disease and GI, because I know I have heard from previous clients during this time and current ones who are friends, colleagues through social media, who have said that their GI, their heart condition is suffering because of this COVID-19. Chronic pain for some has become heightened. Improving mental health. Now, for the last few years, we've talked a lot about mental health, but that was not even the tip of the iceberg. That wasn't even the eye of a needle of what we want to focus on and do. So being present in the now. We're going to go a little bit more focus on the things you can do. So managing time. I've heard many people say that because they're working from home, they're distracted, they're not managing, and they're stressed, so they're not as focused. And of course, all of this impacts our immune system and how happy we are. All right. To me, this particular picture is absolutely to the point. And I'm sure many of you are nodding heads right now that if we knew how powerful our thoughts are, we would never, and I'm going to add ever, ever think another negative thought again. And because they stay in our psyche, they're in part of our inner chatter, then it's so powerful. So keep this in mind. I want to get to the point, to the part where the things you can actually do. So that's why I wanted to share these things with you, but then move on to the parts what you can actually do, because I feel that's why you are here. Yes, blah blah. It's great to have these benefits, but what can I do today, right now? If you're like me, you're focused on the fact, what can I do right now? All right. That will benefit now and hopefully moving forward. This one is definitely one of mine. Your mind is like a garden and your thoughts are the seeds. So, and this, we're just in the season of planting, or we have been in the season. You can tell I'm not a gardener so much, but we have been in the season of gardening in the last month or 6 weeks. People, friends I know have been planting and preparing for the garden season. Even some have crops that they are harvesting right now, which is fantastic. But remembering that thoughts that don't feel good are like the weeds. Thoughts that feel good are like the flowers because they feel good. That's the simplest way I can actually say, so that you, wherever you are, you can actually gauge that through your emotions. Okay. Whoops, I went too quickly. And yes, that's a picture of me at Purdy's Wharf at about 6 a.m. And it was end of March, so it was very cold. Practicing mindfulness. Talk about your progress. That's why I have put that one number one. Although they're not in any particular order, but that particular one, I wanted it to be number one, because the more you talk about the things you like and your progress, then you will feel much more empowered. You will feel inspired. You will feel that much more productive, much more relaxed, calm. And that is what we want to go for. During this time of uncertainty, we want to counterbalance that with calm, with feeling relaxed, because that's where the opportunities lie. And of course, spending time in nature, positive self-talk. These are some of the ways you can actually focus on practicing mindfulness for yourself, regardless of wherever you are. If you are like most people, you want to live a life of purpose. You want to live on purpose. This is a term that 20 years ago, it wasn't even used. This phrase wasn't being used. However, today more people are talking about living consciously. They want to feel fulfilled. They want to feel that they are living on purpose. So these are some of the things that will help you. Sounds of birds, like you mentioned, and practicing self kindness. I always say kindness is a magical ingredient. But if it is so magical, shouldn't you be giving some to yourself? We want to spread that. If appreciation and kindness feels good when we give it to others, it also feels empowering and inspiring when we give it to ourselves. So I have focused on being very practical for this purpose today. Meditating. Most of you know that I meditate and have meditated for many years. And the common reason people say, oh, I'm not the meditative type. I was right there with you, and I simply practiced and let go of the judgment when my mind wanders. I have here one piece here, limit negative jokes. And I hear so many negative jokes, sarcastic jokes about COVID. And people say, did you see that? I sent it to you. And I simply said, I don't pay attention. Thank you for thinking of me. I say, I don't read those. And they say, oh, it was funny. I say, yes, it may have been funny, but at the same time, when we focus so much about this, it becomes, it actually occupies a bigger section of our psyche, our mindset, our consciousness. And I prefer to focus on the positive things. Oh, look, this entrepreneur has pivoted and is doing a fantastic job of repositioning. And that's what I have done. I created a couple of training courses on mindfulness for mental health, specific to this time, because this is of great value and need. And the other one is leading through change. And incidentally, you don't need to be in a leadership position or a title, but it is personal leadership as well as professional. So limit your jokes, negative ones. Let go of an old habit and replace it with just one positive habit. One of my clients during this whole COVID, she wanted to not eat chips at night. She was eating healthier, but she found herself that she would gravitate towards the chips, and she has let go of that during this COVID. So whatever it is, some are walking more, some are whatever it fits for you. If you have been thinking about it for a while, I highly recommend, let this be a challenge, something that you will remember and say, yes, I remember the time of COVID and the lockdown. I turned this into a positive habit for myself or for your business, for your team, with your colleagues. These are some of the strategies that you can actually use with your colleagues. Because people are working from home, it is vital to bring people together in so many ways. I haven't gone into a whole lot of that because we don't have the time. Paying attention to some of your beliefs. Connecting with your senses, becoming aware of your emotions, being more self-aware. Pausing between action. There are times that I have meetings back to back and I just go downstairs, go out for 5 minutes, open the balcony, go on the balcony or wherever, go on your deck, just step outside, create that break for yourself. I also have highlighted, limit your news intake. We don't need to listen to every piece of the news 5 times a day. You can get what you need to know, briefly browsing or a couple of minutes it will tell you all that you need to know. And if you are in a position that you are a news broadcaster and you need to know moment to moment, then it's okay. But then you need to do something else so that you create some positive for yourself and you do not become overconsumed with news. Listening wholeheartedly. And I know sometimes it's even easier to do it when we are on Zoom meetings. We can just put the microphone off and the video off, and we can be doing other things. But that doesn't help us in the long run. It is just distracting us more than ever before. And of course, focusing on one activity at a time. And I know most of you know by now that multitasking actually slows us down rather than becoming much more effective. All right. Any questions right now? Let me see. Okay. All right. News, somebody has said news equals anxiety. Yes. And just to let you know that I don't listen to the news and haven't done for a number of years. I get a little bit if I want to find out some more information about something that is occurring. I quickly go to the news site, look for that specific and get the information I want and out of there. I'm very, very particular, and I still know everything that is happening, but I don't need the minute by minute detail of everything. And it helps me take charge of my mental real estate. So the ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. And I could not say that any better, honestly, because we are consistently evaluating, judging, and adding so much in there that we forget the essence of it. And we consistently bring out the past to affect or actually ruin our present or the future. If you saw my social media post today, that's what I had. Don't let the past ruin your present or future. And by the way, what I am sharing, I use them. I'm not a type of a person to simply preach. For me, practicing them, and that's how I know they actually work. If I wasn't practicing them, it would be blah, 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 blah. Yes, do this. This page says this book says that. But these are results that I know. I guarantee you they will work the moment you practice them, every moment. And it isn't just like a high school diploma or a PhD that once you get it, you're done. You want to focus more and more, and the sweetness comes from that. My friend, my dear friend, Grace Luke, who lives in Dartmouth, or Kobe Village to be exact, she just turned 99 a couple of weeks ago, and when I went to visit her from the end of the driveway, she said, she sat in her garage and she said, Floria, at the age of 99, I realized how little I know. So I remind myself of these things all the time. That's why it is fun for me. Letting go of thoughts that do not make you feel strong. Again, we've talked about these. You want things that do not feel good, that do not make you feel strong, thoughts that do not feel strong, then they make you feel weak and powerless. Now, obviously, there is a lot more to all of these things. I'm going really fast because I wanted to make sure I give you as much information. However, much more in-depth conversation that we can do. And by the way, online training is something I have done before, and I'm doing more of those now, both training and coaching. And this is the challenge that was meant to be here, not the other one. 24-hour challenge. No complaining. And no complaining about someone else's complaining either. Okay? Just because someone else is complaining, we don't like it. And when we start complaining, how awful is it that someone else is saying that? We're still complaining. And I say it all the time. Complaining about complaining is still complaining. I share a daily quotation that those who, you can go to my website to recognizeyourpotential.com, sign up for that. And I've sent that different times, and people inevitably, somebody comments back and says, good reminder. And there are tips, inspiration, quotations, and things that we can all use. And even I write them, I still look forward to reading them, because then I'm reading it with a different perspective, and I've said it, written it, then I read it later, and then it brings me a new reminder. There is no shame or embarrassment to read, to be inspired, to be reminded. So 24 hours, just 24 hours. And I'd love to hear from you to see how you would do with that. And whoops, okay. So if you're working from home with your business or your team, time of change and uncertainty, that impacts every one of us globally. And on a positive note, it has united us in a way that we had never been united in this way before. So it is important to actually remember that this period has brought people together more than ever. People are connecting, people are using Zoom and video calls, phone calls, instead of texts as much. They're gathering together more so. I know in the last couple of months, as I would walk, and we know we have lots of wind, and I swear that I don't think I ever enjoyed that wind so much. I would walk through and I would say, oh, this feels so good. And different times, I actually would challenge myself, okay, during this 45-minute walk, let's see how many positive things I can see, or the positive aspects of wind, and how does it rejuvenate and actually feels good. So mindfulness and mental health have been part of humanity as long as, especially mental health, although we didn't have the term mental health, wealth, any of these things, perhaps a couple of thousand years ago, but they were there. We just didn't have the terminology for it. Mindfulness is an ancient art, and it is part of humanity. And we're learning more and more every day. And future of work is really now. So doing mental health mindfulness training workshops are now more vital than ever before. And whether you are a solopreneur and you have not-for-profit organization, wherever you are, you have a big team, these are some of the things that we want to focus, and engagement is more important than ever before. So I have put, yes, okay. My contact information is here, and I have also shared my podcast, the link to my podcast and my YouTube channel. Feel free. I'm all on social media, and you can check any of those platforms on Instagram, on Twitter, LinkedIn, and love hearing from you. Love your gifts of feedback. I'm going to pass this on to Barbie. So there you go, boss.
Thank you, boss. Love that. Thanks, Floria. Well, thank you very, very much. That was very, very insightful. A couple of takeaways, few takeaways for me. 93% of our communication is nonverbal. I think I knew that, but I forgot that. So nice reminder. Talk more about what you like, appreciate, or what you can do. Talk less about what you can't do, 100%. And start one positive habit, let go of old habits. Great. Lots of takeaways. So again, folks, Floria has given her contact information, and we're going to get in. There was a couple of questions from the panelists, or sorry, the attendees. What is the best way to start to meditate? This participant said she has no idea, and she can't stop her mind sometimes. Floria, can you speak to that?
Absolutely. So I suggest even starting with 10 minutes, 15 minutes, no more. You don't need to sit for an hour, okay? It's only about 15 minutes a day, and that's how I meditate. Quieting your mind. Some people find guided meditation easier, and if you do when you go to my podcast, there is a couple of guided meditations there to get you started, but there are apps you can use. Some people prefer to use the sound of birds or waterfall. Some people prefer to use a candle, the burning flicker of a candle. There isn't one size fits all, because there's over 7 billion people in the world. As you are meditating, key point is when you get distracted, say, I'll deal with that later. Right now, I'm just quieting now. Rather than getting frustrated, because the biggest stumbling block for meditation is that we judge ourselves. Well, no, I can't meditate because I keep being distracted and my mind races. So then that evaluation, self-judgment actually hinders the process of meditation. You can focus on your breath, you can focus on music, whatever fits, and experiment. Do one for a week and see what you like. Even if you don't like it after 1 week with this music, change it to something else. There is tons of apps. There is even apps that you can download for free that has the sounds of birds or the sound of waterfall. There is all kinds of things. So experiment.
Wonderful. That's a great answer and a great comments. Another question or comment, but I think you might have covered it. I'm a runner. I love to run and it clears my mind. Is that a form of meditation?
It is meditative. And it works well, because same as when I walk, run. It's really helpful. But at the start of the day, and this is really helpful to do it at the beginning of the day, rather than going and doing social media and everything else, because then our mind starts going. But try also experiment with a few minutes of meditation, quieting your mind while you're sitting, relaxing, and I believe it will be helpful as well.
Thanks. And again, I just invite anyone to add their questions in the Q&A. We have about another 5 minutes or so with Floria, so take advantage of this time. How can we start implementing mindfulness into our workplaces? And then what benefits would you see from that?
Okay, I need another year for that, to answer that question. As a group, as colleagues, you can say, hey, I want to focus and talk more about the positive. Barbie, can you point it out to me so that we become buddies at the workplace, and you don't have to be in the same workspace, but that kind of support is really helpful. And when you have an agreement with your colleague, friend, whomever, then you're no longer going to be upset when Barbie tells me, Floria, you were just negative there. Because we've already decided that, and it can bring the whole team, it can bring a subgroup of the team. It's really simple. And you can also, one simple one for the workplace, go and get some stickies or whatever, or send somebody a simple note that, hey, Barbie, Sandra, Eric, Brian, you were really great. I really enjoyed what you said. You did a fantastic job on this particular project, on this email, meeting this deadline, and be genuine. And even if we do one quick, short, 2-sentence emails a day for one person, it just generates and creates that positive momentum for us and for the person who is receiving it. Because in this kind of a positive feedback, studies show that the appreciator benefits, the appreciatee benefits, and those who observe the appreciation also benefit.
Yeah, good. And someone just commented, that's a wonderful idea. The phrase, you get more with honey than vinegar, right? Goes a long way. More with honey. It's nice and sweet.
Yes.
Question, do you feel it's beneficial to meditate before bed to quiet your mind if you're having trouble sleeping?
Definitely. There are times I meditate twice a day. And those of you who know me or who have seen my appreciation posts over the last 251 days, I do that as well. So sometimes I mix up I definitely do both of them in the morning. And I also sometimes expand and do one in the at night as well. It just relaxes you so well. So beyond you could even imagine, honestly, you will fall asleep through a hurricane and you will sleep so well.
Wonderful. All right, folks, a few more minutes. Any more questions you want to pop in the Q&A or in the chat for everyone to see? Oh, here we go. Do you have any suggestions for an employee who keeps going back to the negative? And how do you concur to influence them?
Love the question, because we've all been there. So instead of saying I am being negative, instead of Barbie telling me, Floria, you are being negative, I am participating in that negativity. So changing it up, say, Yeah, but have you noticed how this positive thing is happening? Or changing the topic. Sometimes I have said to people, well, if you're going to give something negative, can you give something positive? Or even challenge them more when I say, for every negative, you need to give two. But I very rarely have to actually say to someone that you're being negative, because that puts up the walls immediately and that doesn't help that positivity. So I keep changing the topic. And there are many times that we come across people who are easy to pick on. And it's easy to pick on them. It's easy to point the finger at them. But then in those circumstances, some of these people, maybe even in public figures, but I quickly change the topic and I say, well, everybody has something. Or can we, and I say, oh, have you noticed this positive thing? Have you noticed that as a result, now we are doing this? Focusing on silver linings. And one challenge that I have given to some of my business clients, especially those who are in management, executive positions, I ask them to write a list of positive aspects for that particular person they think this person is being negative. Yeah. And then they always come back. They say, even, if it was a manager or someone, a CEO, they say, wow, I'm not noticing the negative as much. I'm noticing the positive more so. So again, it is not so much preaching it to others. It is focusing on ourselves more than pointing out, hey, tisk, 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 you are doing this. So these are some of the things that I have worked with, and I have seen much positive, real, awesome benefits from them.
Wonderful. Lead by example, right? It's very clear. Just lead by example. So with that wonderful closing, we are almost out of time and we'll wrap it up here. Like all chamber events or webinars, we pride ourselves on letting you get back to your work or your duties. Thanks again, Floria, for sharing your expertise with us today. And thank you everyone for joining us. If you're looking for more resources on mindfulness, again, Floria hosts a weekly podcast and you can connect with her offline. And we at the Chamber are hosting many more webinars, one almost a day, and with experts in content strategy and change management. Head over to our Chamber website, events, for a full lineup and register. Come online and maybe bring some of your team and bring some friends. They're free for all. This webinar was recorded and it is available to all attendees shortly. So with that, I really want you to have a great day. Enjoy some of that sunshine as Floria encourages.
I have one thank you apart from the Chamber. Also wanted to thank Kyle Armstrong at Digital Nova Scotia. He's a co-op student. He wrote a great blog about mindfulness, and we had a great interview. I really thank them for their support. Thank you, Chamber. Thanks everybody for coming, and look forward to connecting.
All right. Wonderful. Thanks. Everybody have a wonderful day. Enjoy the sunshine, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.